Let's go to a new guy here. Let's go to Tom. Tom's tips. He says there have been 145 games played in the National League through Sunday. The Giants, Dodgers, and Padres are 25-5. The rest of the league is 51-64. Dominance.
Well, we knew the Dodgers would be great. The Padres are off to a pretty good start. San Francisco, to me, is a real surprise. Whether they can keep this going remains to be seen. But yeah, Buster Posey does not have a lot of stars on that roster. They're renting Justin Verlander at the front end of the rotation. They're hoping Logan Webb can stay healthy. Obviously, they signed Willy Adames to a mega contract, but there's not a lot of other big bats in that batting order. But for them to be out of the gate this quick, to me, it's pretty surprising. Your reaction?
Yeah, the same. I of course, I didn't expect the Dodgers and Padres to go undefeated for over a week. But the Giants definitely caught me by surprise. And I think the last I looked in the standings, the Giants, I think, are in second place in the NL West, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I think we have one loss last I checked.
We got a ways to go, John. You're not ordering giant playoff tickets, are you yet?
It's got to be excited whenever your teams are in contention. So I think it's cool. I mean, I think this is the division to watch, the NL West.
With apologies in advance, John is a closet Giant fan.
No,
I apologize in advance for my co-host.
No, that's not in the closet, man. It's out in front for all of you to observe. That's how I was raised. Okay, let's go here to Carlos. He goes, Lee, the LA Kings went 3-0 versus Winnipeg this season and just shut out the hated Edmonton Oilers 3-0. Or you say that in hockey? It's 0, right? Yeah. 3-0 on Saturday. The Kings are looking pretty solid heading into the playoffs. Lord Stanley back to LA.
It's such a grind, though. Let's not order Stanley Cup final playoff tickets yet because the Western Conference is a bitch. And it obviously it starts with Winnipeg. And, do not look past Dallas. Dallas is unbelievable. They got goal scoring you would not believe. And they don't have a complete roster healthy. They hope to have Tyler Seguin, the other goal scorer, back to join the other people. Dallas is really good. Edmonton is staggered right now. Leon Draisaitl got dinged again. Connor McDavid is not back yet. A lot of people still think Stuart Skinner is a bit suspect. Calgary is, I don't know how Calgary is doing this with it was supposed to be a transition rebuild year, but the Flames are playing pretty well. And the Kings are dynamic. The Kings are now 29-4-4 at home, and the Kings are scoring goals. The Kings are rock solid on defense, and I think Darcy Kemper might be the runner-up for the Vezina Trophy. And you get hot goaltender come playoff time. So, hey, Western Conference playoffs are going to be significant, and the matchups are going to be unbelievable. And to me, Edmonton's time might have come and gone, and they didn't get there. And they're just not the same team right now. And now their stars are hurt. So can't wait for the NHL playoffs to begin as we head to the final week and a half of the regular season.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's great. I mean, all the playoff talk right now, but I think people are still fired up about Ovechkin. Let's go here to John. He goes, I'm still ecstatic over Alex Ovechkin passing the great one. Now hoping my Caps get rested and ready for the playoffs. Number 1 seed in the East.
Yeah, they're a really good hockey team. It's kind of an unsung hockey team. They went through a bit of a rebuild. And the other thing is Ovechkin was hurt in the middle of the season. A lot of people forget that. Was it broken leg or broken arm? He was out with a fracture. And all of a sudden it wasn't the same team. And he came back. And he's at age 38, for him to accomplish what he's doing on a night-by-night basis is such a phenomenal grind. And, yeah, Washington is the real deal. But these guys here west of the Mississippi, I mean, what they've done in Winnipeg with 51 wins, what Dallas has become by virtue of what they did at the trade deadline, those are pretty two doggone tough teams. And I have not even mentioned Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay on the East Coast. So best of 7 series, toughest trophy to go get. Stanley Cup begins in about 10 days.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And this time of the year is so fantastic. Here's kind of a follow-up on that. This is from Callan. He goes, afternoon, gents. All right, Lee, since Ovi surpassed Gretzky, what's the next record in sports that you think will be surpassed?
That's a good question. To be honest with you, I don't know if we'll ever see another 400 hitter in baseball. I mean, Tony Gwynn was the last one that came close, hitting 394 back in the day. But, with so many pitchers having so many catastrophic arm problems, is it conceivable somebody like a Luis Ariz could hit 400? I know that's a 162 game grind too. That that's one there that you might want to pay attention to. But records are made to be broken. You got such great athletes playing these events. So yeah, there'll probably be some other records broken. I'll be interested in asking a hockey fan, is Ovechkin greater than Gretzky? Or is Gretzky greater than Gordie Howe, whose record he broke for career goals? Obviously, very, very different players. But so how does hockey fan out there on this podcast, how do you view Ovechkin's history versus Gretzky's history? John, next one.
Next one. Let's keep rolling. We'll go here to Chris. He goes, amazing 2-hour stream of F-bombs from Dawn Staley as she failed to make one adjustment while her team got obliterated. Paige Beckers thanked everyone after the game for the MVP, but also gave credit to her team's true MVP, Juju Watkins' exploded ACL.
Yeah, the tournament was kind of wild, but I'll tell you, if you reflect back on WNBA basketball, let's be very realistic. This might have been the best collection of stars any one team in women's basketball has ever put together. Those 3 stars on the field that that head coach had, they're pretty impressive. It just wasn't Paige Beckers. It's obviously what the other 2 added, but man, what a collection. And they sledgehammered everybody. And I know the coach has taken an awful lot of heat right now for leaving the starters in with 1:50 to go. And, they won their first game 103-39. They beat a team by 68 or 69 points. But that coach doesn't really care about what anybody else has to say. But what a great collection of team talent that they have. And Paige Beckers was the senior. The others are freshmen and sophomores, and they're all going to be back. Just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's becoming a cool sport to follow. I mean, because I'm getting to know these college coaches a lot more, and you watch these stars go from college ball to the WNBA. It gives us people to track. So I'm digging this. I mean, it's cool to see the women having some success.
You better feed your dog Alpo tonight. You better give her a reward.
Crazy right now.
Beagle. That Beagle's going crazy.
Yeah, he is.
All right, let's move on. Next question.
Okay, he's going to be barking all the time in the background. This is from Dave. He goes, hey, I made it to Snapdragon, and it was a great experience.
Yeah, he's talking obviously about all things. I mean, the package of what they do in preseason or pre-game ceremonies is really kind of cool. So, I mean, the product on the field is good, but the flash and dance and what they do what they do halftime, what they do post, the fans promotions, they have really hit the jackpot. The packaging of the game night events for STFC. And the fact that they've already, they've beaten the top 2 teams, which are kind of like the enemy, the beaten the LA Galaxy opening night, and they beat LAFC just a week ago. So, I mean, they've set a standard as an expansion team that I don't think we're really seeing in modern day.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, just watching the fans on television, they're just looking rowdy. They're proud of their team. They're wearing the gear, the logos. They got the drums going, and it's a celebration. It's like how do I say this? A cross-cultural, America, Mexico, San Diego, Tijuana. We're coming together to support a single soccer team. It's very international.
Okay, we move on. Fans forum chat box is open for business. Barking dog and all. Go ahead, John.
We're just going bananas right now. Okay, let's go here to William, and he says, "Hey, the Giants are going to trade Verlander at the trade deadline."
Well, that historically has happened. John, go ahead and you can get up and let the mascot walk down the hallway if you wish.
I will.
But I will tell you this. Verlander is north of 41. There is a history of neck problems there. So I think right now to say he's a hot commodity to go somewhere else on a rental, I don't know at that age, etc. Granted, he's on a 1-year contract. But then if San Francisco has positioned itself maybe to be a wild card team, you wouldn't want to consider trading Verlander at this point in time unless your other guys are ready. The one guy I thought would be there on opening day is not there, is Kyle Harrison. He was sent back to AAA. And he had a cup of coffee at the end of the season, I thought had arrived and was going to probably stay there. So it's a little early to say trade deadline and they'd move him. But again, because of the age and the injury history, and Verlander's had some injuries the last 2.5 years, not quite the same pitcher that he was before. But hey, July 31st is a long way away. Geez, I got I've got one guy trading the ace of the Giant staff right now, and the other guy's ready to order. My co-host ready to order his playoff tickets already. Giant fan, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to make of this team. I mean, we kind of figured, oh, they're third place. They come out of the gate so fast. I guess we're going to find out more, but I don't know. I just, again, Verlander and Scherzer, I always package them in my mind, this sort of similar. Scherzer's already had the injury. I mean, hopefully Verlander makes it through the year.
He's pitched well so far out of the gate. Now, his last start got banged around, but that was because of rain and lousy conditions. And we'll just see if he continues to give him every fourth or fifth day a really quality start, etc. Next question.
Okay, next question. We'll go here to David. He says, wow, I thought Jerry Jones died a few years ago, or is that a zombie?
No, Jerry still carries a lot of clout. Jerry makes all the decisions. He'd be glad to tell you who he owns the team. He's a general manager of the team, and some people think he's a pseudo coach of the team. I don't know how they're going to get the 18-game schedule thing pushed through. The left side is the economy. The NFL will use any and all ways to create revenue streams, and an 18th game will create phenomenal additional money for the owners, but of course the players get a chunk of that money going forward. So there will be dollar bills that will get thrown on the table. But the union, they're going to have to negotiate something on behalf of the players. That something might be, obviously, the second bye week, earlier start to the season. That we all understand that. I don't know how the elimination of the OTAs, how the coaches could ever accept that, because you need time to really work your players and get them in game shape and to see how they develop along the way. Maybe expanded rosters, because I think the injury factor in the NFL has got to come into this conversation. Maybe they go from 53 active and push that sucker up to 63. Maybe they go to 68 full time. You say, well, Lee, that's no big deal. Well, it is, because the 16 guys on developmental squad, they play at a small amount of money compared to the guys that are on a full year's salary. So if you go to 68 full salaries, that's a huge investment for the owners. But that means that 68 players who get to practice all the time, be paid full time, can move on and off the active roster Sunday by Sunday. But I don't think this is a snap judgment thing, because these players, the veteran players, they don't like the idea of 18 games, regardless of how much money they make, because of the wear and tear factor. Does that make sense, John?
It does make sense, but I'm trying to do the math in my head. When you talk about an expanded season, and then you add on the preseason, you add on the OTAs, you add on the mini camps and all that. I mean, how much of this time does it take an NFL player when they're kind of working for the Chargers? It's got to be over half the year.
Well, it's a lot more than that. The question is, what are they going to cut? They have to give the players time off to recover. We have guys that are coming off seasons who have surgery at the end of the season, and that's commonplace around the league. They don't talk about it at great length. There's a lot of guys have surgeries, cleanups, etc., in addition to the major surgeries. If you're going to give them less time to rehab and recover, that's not good for a player's long career. So there's just a lot of areas that they're going to have to negotiate. They will cut back to 2 preseason games. I don't know how you can cut out the OTA workouts, because players need to be evaluated by coaches. Coaches need time to install their systems. And you can't do that in a 6-week training camp period that starts in July to get you the Labor Day weekend to start the regular season. So this is a big negotiating point. And players' health, I'm sorry, players' health has to be taken into consideration here, not just the fact there's another weekend for John and me to watch NFL football on TV with you.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting to the point now where I think the NFL season might be starting in August, because usually college football is like the week before, maybe 2 weeks before, right?
Well, college football pushed their starts, some conferences, into August. They always gave Labor Day weekend to college football. Trust me, we go to 18, they're taking that weekend back. NFL season will start Labor Day weekend, because they're adding a second bye week. They want to end the Super Bowl, by President's Day in February. So that's where we are. A lot of negotiations.
The Super Bowl used to be in early January.
Oh, yeah, back in the day. Exactly. Okay, next one, John.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you, there's a lot of political talk in the chat, which I'm gonna skip over it. I mean, these guys are arguing with each other, which is kind of funny. But let's just get in some social media folks in here. And actually, this is a little bit of a political angle. I'll let you take this, Hacksaw. This is from MT Ryder, and he says, The Dodgers should absolutely not go to the White House, especially handing him a Dodger jersey with his name. Sad day in Dodger baseball.
Well, they gave it to him, and Clayton Kershaw's the one that gave it to him. Clayton Kershaw's the one that addressed the media. Clayton Kershaw laid the jersey on the desk. He never touched it or put it on. From a player standpoint, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So, MT, you go experience it. You don't have to agree with the politics. As Dave Roberts said, I respect the position of the presidency. He may not respect that guy. He respects the position of the presidency. So, as an honor, because all these other franchises have been honored, and the Eagles have just agreed that they're going to go in April to be honored as a Super Bowl team. So you go because it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience to be in the Oval Office or to have your picture taken on that patio there. But to flip it and to turn it around, I mean, it's a bothersome thing to see. I mean, this is what he did today, refusing to recognize any of the Democratic congressmen that were there to support the Dodgers from California in Los Angeles. There's the same shameful way that he acted when he did thing at Arlington Cemetery in a photo op, or the pull the Bible out of his hands in front of a church after they flushed all these protesters out from away the White House. Yeah, every decision he makes becomes a photo op that leaves a bad taste in the mouths of a number of people. So that's where we are. But from a player standpoint, cool. Once in a lifetime opportunity. Dodgers are back now playing the Washington Nationals as they continue this East Coast road trip.
Okay, let's get a little fairness doctrine in. I've got from the other side of this. This is from Omar, and he says, world champions, my LA Dodgers. That's right. Go meet the best president of my generation. Go Trump. F your feelings.
Well, all I'll say is your guy took the stock market that was at 44,000. It's now down to 37,000, and the globe is turned against your country, run by your guy. We've not heard the end of the story. There's a lot more to come from this, but this is not a good situation that we're living with right now. And if you're not paying attention, then you're pretty bleeping ignorant for having voted for your guy. That's one man's opinion on sports. It's right. But that's where we are. John?
I love that you just let it rip. I mean, I really do. Okay, let's jump over here some Chargers with Bolts up. And he says, I agreed. This is talking about good job, Joe Ortiz in the free agency. He goes, I agreed until I heard a receiver in the first. Unless someone falls, I think defensive tackle and defensive line in the first 3 rounds. This class is really good, and they could completely make over their defensive front with this draft.
Well, it is. The problem is, though, the good defensive tackles are going to go really early. And Michigan's got 2 of them, 2 stud guys. And neither one I don't think is going to be there at 22 in the Charger pick. Could be a tight end there, but you normally don't take tight ends at 22. Should be a speed receiver, but there could be speed receiver also there in the second round. You can go find right guy. You go find edge rusher at 22 that you develop and say, this guy's got all this raw skill. He might not be ready to play immediately in terms of being a difference maker, but we see all this raw skill, height, size, 40-yard dash, explosiveness, physicality, etc. So because it is a good first round, I think they're getting a good player. And obviously, where Ortiz made his mark last year was what he did second round, third round, fourth round. So I'll be just intrigued to see. I like what they did in free agency. I think the rental of Becton as an inside offensive guard is huge. I think the acquisition of Najee Harris gives him real toughness up inside with a guy who's durable, not been hurt. Am surprised they've not re-signed J.K. Dobbins yet, because I thought Dobbins combined with Najee Harris, that'd be pretty good. Do want to see him get a burner, but you can get burners in the second and third round. You can find gems. They do need a real speed guy deep down the field to complement what they got with McConkey, etc. So we'll see. We got a couple weeks before the draft. We'll be focusing a lot on the draft in the next couple of podcast shows. John?
Do you subscribe to the take the best man available, even if you have depth or a really strong starter in that spot?
Well, it's a great philosophy to have, but the thing is, how acute is that specific need at, say, defensive tackle? Is there a defensive tackle that you think is big enough and tough enough with the first quick step that you can develop or build on his frame to make him legitimate? If that's the case, then maybe you take somebody nobody expects you to take. if you take the best man, the best player available, that sounds good in theory, but it doesn't solve your problem with defensive tackle. If you're really sold on a defensive tackle, maybe you trade back from 22, go back a few slots, and the tackle's still there at 25, and you get somebody else. You get a third-round pick as part of the transaction. So, there's a lot of wheeling and dealing. It's just not this guy on this board, this is what we like, or this is our need, so we got to take somebody. You don't take somebody. You take the right guy. So I don't know if that answers your question. It's kind of convoluted, but that's the way they view it in the war room.
Yeah, I mean, you've been in the NFL draft room. I remember you did that on 1090 or 690 back in the 90s. Yeah. Okay, let's go here. Talk some basketball for tonight. And this is from Dark Sunrise. He goes, old man was wrong about Houston, got their shit together and steamrolled a shrunken Duke.
They choked them. They really did. And I mean, to think that Duke would go 10 and a half minutes and get one basket, that is absolutely stunning. But their guards really made things happen. And that was a little bit out of character. I mean, Houston, that guard guy hitting 6 threes, you don't see that with any regularity. I think Emmanuel Sharp is one of the really gritty guards, and those two guys are going to be featured in that game tonight against the Gators. So Houston has gotten so collectively better and better. I mean, it's hard to believe, John, the last game they lost was against San Diego State, and they played so poorly, and this team is still playing. I mean, they have gotten so much better, and they run so many bigs at you. That's a pretty good basketball team. And this first time this coach has been there with a chance to win the title. Houston's had good programs from Phi Slamma Jamma all the way back beyond that to the Big E, Elvin Hayes. A lot of people forget they had pretty good basketball in the Elvin Hayes era too. But boy, this is collectively, what an unbelievable athletic group.
Yeah, they earned it. I mean, they really did. And so tonight, yeah, I mean, it's Florida. I mean, this Walter Clayton kid, it just looks like he's in such control, such poise. I have a hard time seeing Florida losing.
That kid's gifted. I mean, they ran every type of defense they could humanly run against him, and they bodied him, and they banged him, and they frustrated him, or chunks of time. There were 5 possessions he never touched the ball because they couldn't get him open. He kept running baselines and running through picks and double picks, etc. Next thing you know, he's hitting 3 shots in a row. Next thing you know, he's got 34 points. I mean, he is slick, he's sleek, etc. And by the way, Dark Sunrise, please don't make reference to John Riley as being an old man. Please don't say that on social media. Hey, thanks for joining us in Fans Forum. John, next one.
All right, let's keep going. We'll go to here Padres, Dodgers. And talking about you know, did AJ Preller finally get it right? He goes, can't backtrack backwards, Hacksaw. The facts are the Dodgers keep winning. You're getting older. Will you make it to see a Padres World Series? It's one man's opinion. Go Dodgers.
Has to happen. Didn't happen last year, and I thought that was the best year they were positioned to make it happen. Did not. You know, the one thing I love about Padre fan, amnesia. Padre fan has totally forgotten 24 straight innings of shutout ball in the series they gave away to the Dodgers. Should have won that series. Had they won that series, they would have beaten the Mets because they were hot, and they would have gone to the World Series and faced Aaron Judge, Soto, and the Yankees. So I just don't understand the amnesia that exists as if that did not happen last October. It did happen, and the window is really tight. You got a short window with Michael King, a shorter window with Dylan Cease, unless they're going to be able to upgrade contracts and get them locked and signed. But I don't see agents signing pitchers to big contract extensions. So let's just back away of the critique of the co-host, because all honesty, content on this podcast is bleeping brilliant. So accept who we are, what we do, how we look, and the opinions we have. But they got to get to a World Series this year, maybe next year at most. But, you know, a year from today, if they don't retain Michael King and they don't retain Dylan Cease, a.k.a. free agents, now that's a whole different franchise, is it not? John, go ahead, respond.
Yeah, it is a whole different franchise. But, you know, when they extended Jackson Merrill, that surprised me. I hadn't really heard any discussion about that because I thought it would be more of an extension for King or for Cease during the midseason.
I just don't think agents are going to sign pitchers to extensions considering what the pitchers are getting on the open market. And, I mean, Jackson Merrill, that's a unique individual. You know, old country, the kid, $15 million a year. That's a hell of a value. If he continues on this track, and doesn't have any major injury problems, that's a hell of an acquisition. But he wanted to be here and he wants to play the game, and he's got a very unique and very different approach to the business of baseball. But I don't know, John, you can't tell me I'm wrong. This window is pretty tight for the Padres, is it not?
It's tight, but I mean, things are always evolving. Don't get too worked up on it. It's not now or never. But I just can't wait for the next time the Padres and the Dodgers play. We have to wait till June for this, which is kind of a bummer. But you gotta applaud both teams coming out of the gate fast, and it's nice to get a little bit of national recognition. It's not just Dodgers in the NL West. There's actually some other good teams there.
Okay, John, listen, I just want to make a statement here. I know we've gotten a lot of fans forum stuff that you don't want to put up there, but feel free. Be brazen, be bold. If you want to put one up of people who might not necessarily agree with Dodgers, Trump, the honor, the dishonor, because when I did Sports Talk Radio, I took all types of phone calls. Love me, hate me, whatever, doesn't matter. But go ahead, select one you want. We'll respond to it, and before we get taken off the air.
Okay. I love how you welcome the attacks, so let me find one of these in here that was, some of these guys are arguing amongst each other. Here's one from Mike. And he says, Hacksaw, stay out of politics. You have enough trouble with sports. A Democrat president wouldn't introduce a Republican senator either. You know even less about politics than you do sports.
Mike, thank you for following. It serves the purpose that I've always said. We are bleeping brilliant, because we even have you, lowest common denominator of intelligence, participating in this podcast, talking sports. And occasionally, when sports interjects with politics, we do have to cover that. Thanks for being with us. Hope you become a regular. We'll change your mind. You just stay with us.
Okay. And again, just to prove that he's clearly a Trump fan. He had another comment there, but then we have one from Buddy, and he says, hey, here's a few facts, Mike. Biden only administration had 48 consecutive months of positive job growth. Stock market. I mean, these guys are arguing with each other about politics on the Hacksaw live stream. What's going on?
At the end of the day, should I preface this? I guess I should. Full disclosure, okay? I've never told anybody this. I don't even think I've ever mentioned this to John. I am a third generation relation to John F. Kennedy. Okay?
Really?
Yes, exactly. On my father's side, Irish, Italian, Boston, all that. So anyhow,
that's cool.
At the end of the day, the Democrats have done a better job than the Republicans have. However, that being said, I was aghast and I was angry as hell because Joe Biden won the election with a promise he would be the bridge from the garbage that Trump shoveled that first term. He would be the bridge. And he served his 4 years, Biden did, and they did not come up with the right candidate or any candidate till Biden mentally and physically broke down. And at that point in time, the election was over. So I blame Biden for the demise of the Democratic Party because they had 4 years to find the right candidate when they got to the end of the bridge to put him in place, and they didn't. And instead, we now have this. And we have this mess with all these people who've been appointed to these jobs who are criminals, crackpots, crooks, and unable to do the job correctly. And we have all the stuff that's happened with tariffs, global economy, wars. And we have a relation with Putin? You gotta be kidding me. Now, if you care to subscribe to all things Republican, welcome to your America. I don't know where the hell we're going to be in 6 months or a year from now. And you better bloody hope there's not another epidemic, Ebola, or something of that magnitude coming, because this government, his government, is not ready for it. So you can listen to all the lies you want. I'm going to tell you the Democrats wrecked this country by not having a person in place to replace Biden, who is supposed to be the bridge guy. And I'm telling you, this guy is not the right guy. Agree or disagree? Does not matter. Because when I'm done with this, we're going to start talking sports again. But you asked the question, I gave you the answer. And John now knows my background.
Well, I didn't know the Kennedy connection. By the way,
Kennedy connection.
The Kennedys, is there any sports connection to the Kennedys? I mean, other than playing touch football out in, on their estate in Massachusetts?
I don't think there's any sports connections from vis-a-vis, with the exception of Cape Cod, touch football, and all that.
Well, the Redskins played in RFK for a long time, so maybe that counts. I don't know. Okay, let's get some sports in here. And yeah, like right here, Shane says, "Please talk sports." Okay,
I
let's go
agree.
here.
I'll second that memo. Go ahead.
Okay, William Lewis says San Diego State needs to fire their AD. The football team didn't do squat in a transfer portal and change up the uniforms with more unisets. People around the country don't even know who San Diego State is with those uniforms.
I like John David Wicker. I think it's been a very, very tough time and a very tough job for him as the landscape has changed. I am so distraught that San Diego State never grasped the Charger fans who were left behind when Spanos pulled our NFL franchise out of here and took it to Los Angeles. I gave them ideas of things I thought that were very important in terms of building business relationships with the Charger sponsors who were in essence put out on the street. Instead, the Padres garnered all them, and the Padres have done a phenomenal job. JD's had his hands full. I don't think I'd want to be an AD in this era of player free agency. I think it's very hard to be able to fill a football stadium when you're not winning. And it's doubly hard because this was an NFL town that never really put its arms around San Diego State. I did the games during the Falk era, and they were averaging 48 to 51,000 fans per game for those 3 years, and then it all got away from them. And obviously, their heart was broken when they didn't get into the Pac-10 when it became the Pac-12, et cetera. So, job is really hard. I don't know if anybody else could do as much as Wicker has tried to do, but he's got his hands tied just because his alumni support, to me, is very, very non-existent. And I don't know how they're going to rally it. Basketball seems to be a different venture. Basketball is only 5 players. It's not a 90-man roster. Give Sean Lewis another year. If we're sitting here at 3-9 next season, then we're going to have some problems. But I also tend to think a lot of things are going to change in terms of the NIL transfer portal, I would think, in the next calendar year. Well, that's one man's opinion. I want to see him do well because it's our team in town, but they've screwed this thing up a little bit because they didn't move quick enough to embrace Charger fans, Charger corporate sponsors, and I think that would have made a big, big difference. But I like Sean Lewis. Just give him some space to see if they can do this, but they got to flip it soon. John?
Well, they did try. They had that whole one city, one team thing. That was their brand slogan for a while. Excuse me. But the problem is that the quality of the product wasn't very good for part of the stretch after the Chargers came or left. And the other part of it is then there was the pandemic, and then they played up in Carson, and the whole community kind of got disconnected from Aztec football.
No, you're
and
correct.
Then the NIL thing hits, and it's just chaos.
Yeah, it's been one domino after another, and flipping back to 2020. I mean, I've told JD Wicker face to face, I said, I salute you for your ability to stay on the job and do this job because there's so many negatives that are around his feet on a day-by-day, week-by-week, year-by-year basis since 2020. Basketball is a success unto itself. Everything else is just absolutely kind of hit a wall and staggered. I'm not blaming him. It's just not an easy job at this point in time. It's not an easy job a lot of different places across the country, especially for everybody that's not in the SEC, and the SEC seems to own everything. Hey, John, listen, this has been fun.